Hello there and welcome to the Ramble review, and today we're looking at Mega Man 11. The story for this game is nothing too special. Dr. Wily's having a nightmare about his Dr. Light's past, where they rejected his double gear system. Wily wakes up and goes, hey, I'm going to use that double gear system. So he goes to screw around with Dr. Light and Mega Man, and he steals their robots that they just made, and he attaches the double gear system to them, and now Mega Man has to go stop the 8 robot masters and that mean old Dr. Wily. And that's really it. Nothing different from the typical Mega Man story. I do have to say is, where the hell is Proto Man? He's my favorite Mega Man character overall and everything that is Mega Man. Maybe something was said in Mega Man 10. I didn't play that one. So yeah, nothing great here. It's your typical thing. The gameplay is, well, it's Mega Man. Yeah, you jump, you slide, you shoot your pew-pews, you charge it, you defeat the robot masters, and so forth. The gameplay is nice and tight, which is very important for these types of games. Nothing feels cheap. None of the enemy placement feels cheap. The game is actually really fucking challenging, especially in some points during some of the levels, where you have to really, test your platforming prowess and, jump at the right time other things, kill enemies real fast. And the biggest addition to Mega Man 11 is the double gear system, since Mega Man has it now. I'm sorry, I had to check something else there. But yeah, Mega Man has it now, but he can't abuse it. That's how the mechanic works in the game. You could slow down time, or you can beef up your attacks. When you activate either or side, there's a little timer that shows by a bar, and if it goes too far, the gear system overheats and you can't do nothing for a little bit. But it's a good way to not let the player abuse it and just walk over everything, because the game would be ridiculously easy if you could. And the game does expect you to use said double gear system, trust me, mainly the slow down time one, where you got to make certain jumps or get past certain sections. Like there's in Fuse Man's level, there's like these lightning strike things, and you got to get through them, and doing it normal speed is a pain in the ass. You're going to get beat up. But if you use the slow down gear system, it makes it more easier. You just got to make sure you don't overheat yourself and get trapped in a crappy situation. Balloon Man's level is pretty cool too. There's a lot of bouncing, balloons, and like this platform, we got to go to the highest point, go boing. And Torch Man's level, which they've done this type of thing before, where everything goes dark and you need that one light source, but that light source is trying to fucking kill you. So that adds to the challenge. There's even the parts with it where the stage is like catching on fire. You got to outrun the fire, which again, where the gear system comes in real handy, where you can slow down the time. But yeah, like all the levels are fun. I will have to say there's at least maybe like 2 levels like kind of long in the tooth, because each level has a mid boss. But some of the levels feel a little longer with these mid boss. Like I believe the bosses is Stone Man or Block Man, something like that. I can't remember right now. All I know is a guy full of rocks, and his level felt kind of long in the tooth. But besides that, everything felt pretty nicely paced for the most part. I do have to say, if this is your first Mega Man game, it's actually really beginner friendly, mainly because the shop. As you'll be going through the game, you notice like little screws that enemies drop or just place around the levels that you could pick up. With these, you could buy a bunch of extra lives, and the game has it at this checkpoint. So if you die, you just start right there, especially when you get to the boss. If you have a bunch of lives, you could try it over and over and over again. You could buy energy tanks. You could buy power-ups that stay with you. You could turn them on or off if you want to. So you could just buy them and be like, I want it here. I want to just make this a little harder. You have that option. But there's stuff like you don't slide in Tundra Man's level because it's all full of ice. Stuff where your gear system recharges much faster if it overheats. Things like that help you out a ton. Again, you don't have to buy any of this, but if you want to, you can. And the levels also respond to screws, and if you die, you don't lose any of these screws for currency. So you could just die, get more screws, so on and so forth. So you never feel like you're wasting time if you die, like, oh, I lost all that progress. No, you have all the screws that can help you beat the game much faster. And if you play After you beat the game, you can actually just do another run with all your upgrades and such, and therefore, I do have to say this game looks really nice. I like the graphic style of it. It's kind of it's 2D, but it's side scroll 2D, but it's 2.5D. I guess that's what they call it. That has like the character models are all 3D. The levels are colorful with the ones that are supposed to be anyway, like Bounce Man's. I like the enemy design. I really do like the boss designs. My 3 personal favorite is Tundra Man, Bounce Man, and Torch Man. They're all pretty damn cool. Speaking of the boss fights, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but they're actually pretty challenging. Like of course, each have their weakness, but you kind of got to guess unless you go on and look at the guide. I didn't do that. I was like, screw it. I'll go into this blind and I'll just guess by using some type of logic. I got some right and I got some wrong. It happens. But as you're beating them up, they activate the gear system, and for like a quick second, they go into overdrive and do like these big moves and everything, and making it more intense and fun. You feel like a good gratification when you finally put that boss down. Even the mid bosses sometimes can be a bit tough. After you beat the game, like I said, you can always replay it with all the power ups you got, or you get the ones you haven't gotten yet. If you're the completionist and want to get everything. There's also this challenge mode, which will take up a lot of your time if you're into this type of thing. It's things like you just go to the challenge mode and you have to. It lets you pick each level, and each level has things like do the boss at a certain amount of time, and the game shows you the time too, so you're not like guessing if you're close to failing or not. Don't jump X amount of times. There's one where you gotta collect balloons and some more extra stuff. So for those who want more challenge out of this game, this right here is for you. There's also rankings to it. Of course, you have the bronze, silver, and gold, so you could try to get all that. So yeah, that's something to reach for. And you unlock, I believe, some little gallery stuff for doing this. So that's your like reward for it. But if you're into the challenge stuff, this is definitely for you. As I mentioned, there is a gallery. And this stuff, I guess, came unlocked after I beat the game, which you can read the description of all the monsters, all the robots, all the boss robots. Read what they were originally designed for. It's cool, nice little background touch for each little robot master that you don't really get from playing the game itself. You also hear the lines and everything, because sometimes you just can't pay attention to that while you're trying to survive and shooting the shit out of them. And that's really it. There's nothing else. That challenging is a good incentive for replay value if you're into that type of stuff. If you just want to beat the game and call it a day, like basically that's what I did, this game's probably gonna take you, at least took me 3 hours and some change, and that's it. There's nothing. That's how this game, of course, like a Mega Man game, it's pretty short. It's not a bad thing. I wouldn't be a fan of a Mega Man game that went way too long. One of the reasons it's so addictive is how nicely paced it is. So you can just pop it in and just run through all that masters. Have yourself a good time, beat the game in like a day or two if you take it real slow. So yeah, and it's also a save system, so you can just stop whenever you feel like it and just come back later. So yeah, the challenge mode is there if you want to do it, but if you don't, just want to run through a Mega Man game, you're looking at, like I said, 3 hours and some change. I do enjoy most Mega Man games, but I have to say that this series, not X or ZX or Elemental P, this one is my favorite series. I have to be honest though, 9 and 10 kind of turned me off, mainly because of the visuals. I'm not a graphics whore, but I just feel Capcom, a big company, could have put more money into it. I did get 9. I enjoyed it a bit. I was hoping, if they make another one, it's going to be like the upgrade. It wasn't. Kind of turned me off. I didn't care anymore. And then 11 came out. I was like, thank God. So that looks like they put a little more effort into it, and it paid off. I like the look of the game, the design of the bosses. Basically, if you love Mega Man, especially classic Mega Man, this game is a high recommendation. And if you were kind of turned off with the older games, if maybe they felt a bit too challenging, this one is very beginner friendly. You could, like I said, you could buy a bunch of stuff from the store. It's not that much of a headache. You can still buy the upgrades. You can turn them on and off if you want to. There's the challenges if you want that extra meaty challenge. The game is short, but it's sweet. So hope you didn't mind my ramble, and for gamer's sake, keep gaming.